Hello, my name is Lina Archibald. Welcome to Nuno Felted Flower online class. I'm Lina. I run Lina Archibald Textile Art and Design, where I sell felt making materials, write blogs. I also teach online classes in felt making and textile online, and you can find me online under Felt with Lina. Today we're going to make Nuno felted flower, just like this, which can be a brooch, a fascinator, or attached to your bag. It is your decision and your imagination. Who this class for? This class for a complete beginner or anyone who would like to learn this technique. What do we need? Anything what you can find in your kitchen. Let's talk about tools first. First of all, if you notice, my table is protected with some plastic tablecloths. You can do this felted flower just on your kitchen table. Make sure it's protected. Few towels, old towels, bubble wrap. Any bubble wrap from package, keep it. I use bamboo mat. It is optional. If you have, use it. If you don't, you might be able to buy from Pound Stretcher or any other shops. You recognize this? It's a pastry roller. Then we need some jug with water and some bottle. This is a juice bottle with very fine holes. Get some sewing needle and make holes. Olive oil or soap or any soap. You also can use washing up liquid. Be very careful, make sure it's good for gentle for your hands. Any plastic gloves, either latex or plastic like this, and old pop socks, scissors, a measuring tape. That's all your equipment. You should have this in your kitchen. In terms of materials, some scraps of silk. Please use per silk. For Nuno felt, we need fabric and wool. This is sponge silk, just of cuts from different projects. Merino wool. Merino wool comes in different microns. Measure thickness of merino wool. This is 23. If you need merino wool, check my website, Lina Archibald Textile Art and Design. You will need stitch your flower together, so sewing needle and threads, any beads, any buttons. It's up to you. That's where you start to add your touch. You can do seed beads, just a little, something inside, like I put here a bit, little bit. You will need to have some something to attach to your brooch to keep this brooch on your clothes, some pin, a brooch pin, or if you don't have a brooch pin, just safety pin, attach safety pin. And that's all. Now we're ready to make our felted flower. First step is layout. So our table is prepared. I'm going to organize my table better now after I introduce you to materials and equipment. I always keep equipment or tools on one side and materials on another side. So my first step is to put 3 pieces of silk, different size, and I'll tell you what size do we need. So I have 3 pieces. Okay, your brooch approximately after stitching 14 centimeters. What happened with felting? Your felt will shrink in comparison to the layout. So if you need 14 centimeters length, take around a piece of silk 20 centimeters. Okay, do 20 by 20. It doesn't need to be strict. Square could be any shape. And it could be one color or could be different colors. So what we're going to do next, I'm going to wet silk and make sure there are no folds. If you experience felter, you can create folds and leave it. If you not, make sure it's all straight. Why? Because it's a little bit more challenging to felt when we have folds on our silk. So this technique is very simple for beginners because fabric will hold everything together. And you don't need to worry about wool layout, which is our next step. Okay. Why am I adding water? Because we need silk really kind of glued to our bubble wrap. What I did not mention when I was preparing my table, we have towel, then I put bubble wrap, then I put our mat, and then bubble wrap. White towel to protect from spillage. Towel will absorb water. So now we have 3 pieces. Okay, each piece slightly different sizes. The biggest is 18 centimeters or around 7.5 inches length. Then we have 16, and then we have again 16. Dry your hands before doing any layout. This is merino wool. This is woven. First, I'm going to refresh. Hands apart, and I'm just walking through my woven. Okay. Next step is to separate woven in half, like this, and remove one. So now we're ready to do our layout. This is too long. I'm going to tear in half. What you need to bear in mind, if you put hands like this, no way you can tear your wool. Do not cut wool, because when you cut wool, that edge is difficult to felt. Hands apart, and it's easy. Then we're going to do two layers in one direction and then in another direction. So when we're doing layer, we're pinching or we're holding end of the wool. I'm holding in left hand, and my thumb kind of measure, or I don't know, just basically you're putting your wool in line with thumb, right? So I'm holding and I'm pinching. Then next, covering previous row by approximately 1 centimeter. Okay. Then I'm going to do next one. Okay. And then again. Can you see how fine wool? It's easier to do felting and layout when it's, felting definitely when you have less very fine. Okay, what I've done next, where I had gaps, I add more. Okay. So I it's better to build your layer using fine locks or fine wool. Then we turn around and we're doing in different direction. This is called classical layout. In order to felt, you have to, in order for wool to felt, really need to have wool in different directions. Okay. Okay. If you want to practice your layout, do different colors of wool. Then you will see how even layout. So can you see, I'm just wisps of wool. You can't even hardly see it. Wisps of wool goes into layout. we finish one, we're doing another one. We are now ready to start felting. First step, we need to add water. Okay. Water, room temperature. Then I'm going to cover with net. This is ordinary tutu net. Okay. I'm going to put gloves. The reason I'm using gloves, not just to protect my hands, but when we're going to do rubbing, your hands then slide nicely. I will show you how to use olive oil soap or a washing up liquid. So with olive oil soap, it's simple. We're just rubbing very gently. Or you can put olive oil soap on your hands and do this way. Make sure all layers are wet through. I feel it's a little bit dry. When you're rubbing your layout, make sure it does not stick to your net, so you really need to lift your net from time to time. If you're using washing liquid, you just add just like that. I'm sure we all have washing up liquid in our kitchen, and you're just rubbing. With olive oil soap, it felts quicker. Don't know why, don't ask me why, some chemistry there. When you're happy that all your layout is wet and you can check, you can just lift your net like this and look if it's wet or not. You do 5 minutes rubbing, 5 minutes rubbing your layout, wearing gloves, just with your hands. You can just rub like this with your wrist. We are starting felting, and we need fiber to settle before we do second step, rolling. If it happened that you have too much soap, that's where second towel comes handy. You just remove, or too much water, just remove. Too much soap, too much water will prevent from felting. We do need soap for felting, but not too much. So after 5 minutes of rubbing, we're going to carefully remove our net, and our net starts to stick to our layout. It's a good sign. Remove my gloves. I even can lift like that. Fabric holds everything nicely together for us, and I can see there are connection here which I really don't want, so I'm going to disconnect these pieces. Our layout is ready for rolling. What we need to do, we need to protect our layout. It's just a bin bag. Okay, I'm putting bin bag. I do use this, but I upcycle. I do not put this in bin after the first project. And I'm going to put my roller, my baking pin inside and roll together with table or plate mat, very tight. Okay, very tight. And now I have tights, pop socks. I'm going to tie my bundle very tight together, or secure together, by using these socks. After that, I'm going to roll this inside of towel. And the reason I'm doing this, so I'm putting inside of towel to protect my arms, because bamboo is quite rough. Because I'm going to roll 100 times, putting my arms on top of my bundle. So you just moving like this. What I did not mention, that your table needs to be raised to protect your back. You cannot go like this all the time. If you don't have raised table, use your kitchen top for rolling. I'm going to do 100 rolls in one direction. Then I open, turn roller to another way, another side. I'm going to do 100 in another direction, and you do this up to 400 rolling. If you have square, we have square flour in one direction, in another direction, again and again. Why? Because shrinkage appear in direction of rolling. When I said 100 times, you really need to see how much pressure you put on your bundle. If you put slightly pressure like this, you need to roll 100. If you put more pressure, roll 50 open and do 50 again and do up to 200 and see what happens. Done 50, roll in one side, 50 another. Now we're going to roll another 50 times. Because of size of our plate mat, we can basically just change directions like this, okay, rather than moving roller all over the place. You can do pinch test. So basically you just pinch in wool, and wool still not sticking to our silk. We also need to check if it's dry or and enough soap. It's a little bit dry. Why? Because when we're rolling, water come out. I'm just like that, add water, and then just a little bit soap. And if you don't like rolling, at this stage you can do lots of rubbing. If you've done 100 times rolling, does not appeal to you, do rubbing. You know, you can do this process taking breaks. We've done 200 rolls. Let's check. What I'm looking at, I'm doing pinch test. It's much more solid. What our next step is to do fulling. So felting, all fiber and silk stuck together. We need to secure this and shrink further. For this purpose, we need bubble wrap, bubbles up. Then you can use your gloves. And basically, you start to wrap your piece wool against bubble wrap. All three pieces. What else you can do? You can do kind of this technique. At this stage, I feel too much soap. I'm going to rinse. Make sure I just have a little bit left, because at this stage soap stops from felting. It starts to block. And what I'm doing, I am rubbing. Make sure wool don't come out over edge of your silk, so you just put it back and roll against bubble wrap, just to felt edges. Okay, do with all edges. Okay, this piece nearly done. Nearly. Let's compare, because this piece was very similar to this. Can you see the shrinkage? So the last step, I'm going to do this, and I'm doing this 20 times. When you finish, you can see all that silk bubbling. After that, you can stretch a little bit. You will be shaping when your flower will be assembled, and when you've done all your pieces, all 3 pieces, you will wash. You wash cold, hot, 3 cycles, finish with cold. If you're using washing up liquid, add a little bit of vinegar or lemon juice in cold water to remove that washing up liquid. When I finish all 3 pieces, I will show you how to assemble your flower. All your 3 pieces needs to be dry before assembling the flower. Our flower is ready. It's all dry, it's all stitched with pin and a gemstone. So what I've done, after I wash in cold water, don't leave all 3 pieces to dry separately. Gather your 3 pieces like this. Okay, you can put elastic band around and leave to dry, or if you have double radiator, put inside between 2 panels and dry. This way your flower is not going to be flat. After that, what I've done, I got needle which is the same color as wool, and I stitched all 3 pieces together, just few stitches. After that, I gather my flower together like this, and I've done stitch all around, and I fasten. So this way your flower is not going to be flat. Okay, so after you've done this, you just stitch your pin. If you notice, I don't stitch pin in the center, but outside, like on the side. This way, when you wear your flower like that, it's not going to fall like that. Okay, so and then I secure center. I secure center. I use matching gemstone. You can use buttons, you can use anything here. Okay, and that's it. And this is my felted flower. Just before we finish this class, to give you indication how much our flower shrunk. We remember our initial dimensions. Approximately we have our flower around 11 centimeter in diameter. To remember, we had our pieces around 16-20 centimeters in diameter. This is how much our felt shrunk. That's it from me, from Lena Archibald. Thank you so much for attention. If you need materials, you have a link at the end of this video. Thank you. Take care. All the best. Goodbye.